Tonight on Duck TV News, how the community is handling the coronavirus, how the Republican walkout is affecting recent bills, and a glance at how to spend your staycation. All that and more on tonight's season finale of Duck TV News. Good evening, Eugene, and welcome back to our season finale of Duck TV News. I'm Alejandra Amendola.
And I'm Georgia Fernandez. Alejandra, I can't believe how fast this term has flown by. We're ready for the season finale.
I can't believe it either. Honestly, I'm so glad we have some time to sit here and reflect on what happened this past week. Let's get into our top stories. Eugene police are investigating an explosion that happened last week on Roosevelt Boulevard. Police believe the cause of the explosion was a home lab making hash oil, which is also known as dab. The oil is concentrated THC, and often home labs use butane, an extremely flammable gas, to heat hemp in order to extract THC. The colorless, toxic gas can cause deadly explosions with just a spark. Making butane hash oil at home is illegal, and Eugene police are asking anyone with information to contact them at their non-emergency number.
Oregon is under a state of emergency after Governor Kate Brown made the announcement Sunday morning. The decision came after the amount of COVID-19 cases went from 3 to 6 overnight. The declaration allows access to federal funds to help stop the spread of the disease. Oregon health officials are starting to call on medical volunteers for assistance in at-risk and rural communities, as well as increasing testing for the virus. The state of emergency will remain in effect for the next 60 days.
As Oregonians are preparing for the coronavirus, local businesses are struggling to keep up with demands. Morgan Gwen has the story.
At least 7 cases of the coronavirus have been confirmed in Oregon. As the virus spreads, residents are stocking up on hygiene products. Local businesses like Hirons are doing their best to meet customer demand. Susie Bartel, an assistant manager at Hirons, has seen more hygiene product purchases since the outbreak in Oregon.
We definitely could be selling a lot more if we had it in stock, like hand sanitizer and stuff like that. We would be selling quite a bit if we had it.
Hirons' main distributor, Cardinal Health, is facing a shortage of hand sanitizer and alcohol.
While Hirons is out of hand sanitizer, the store is trying to accommodate customer demand by reaching out to new suppliers and refilling their shelves.
While some customers are stocking up on supplies, others, like Eugene resident Hank Bendix, are not as concerned.
You know, I'm concerned, but I'm not overly worried, let's put it that way, because if it does happen to hit, then we'll just kind of hunker down for a while. But other than that, we're not going to stop doing the things we do.
Meanwhile, Hirons has placed restrictions on the amount of face masks customers are allowed to buy.
We're limiting them 2 per customer per day, just so people aren't buying all of them, like one person coming in buying like 100 of them. And then we're also afraid that we've seen people selling them on eBay for astronomical pricing.
The store will continue to take measures to serve and satisfy customer demand. Reporting for Duck TV News, I'm Morgan Gwynn.
The Centers for Disease Control recommends washing your hands and avoiding large gatherings.
Democrats are working to pass a revision of House Bill 1530. The bill modifies statewide greenhouse gas emissions. The revision will reduce their original goal. This bill is causing tension between Republicans and Democrats in Oregon. Last month, the Republicans walked out of the Capitol. Professor Ronald Mitchell is an advocate of climate change and wants bills like this one to be passed in order to combat the issue. While U of O student Michael Cron is worried about how this bill will affect people in rural communities in Oregon.
I think the bill is very serious. It's serious enough to say we're not going to be the 2nd or 3rd or 5th or 25th state. We're going to be among the first set of states in the country that are saying climate change is a serious problem.
This law, should it be passed, basically it wouldn't be doing a whole lot. And that's one of the chief concerns of people in rural communities who depend on the logging industry, depend on agriculture, depend on any other sort of local industry that...
This bill has caused protests at the state capitol from both sides of the issue. The bill has not been passed as Democrats and Republicans are yet to come to a consensus on the issue.
Another bill to fail because of the Republican walkout would have allowed student athletes to receive compensation. Under Senate Bill 1501, student athletes would maintain ownership of their name, image, and likeness, allowing them to receive payment for endorsement deals. Last month, the bill passed the Oregon Senate and made it through to the first reading, but that's as far as it got. Oregon State Senator Floyd Portensky says Bill 1501 was in the majority.
1501, just like many, many, many other bills, will not make it through the process. If I'm not mistaken, only 3 or 4 bills actually made it through both chambers.
There are 20 states proposing similar laws, with California being the only state to pass it so far. For the bill to go through, it would have to start the process over again and be represented in the next full session on January of next year. Speaking of athletes, let's toss it to Michael and Rachel over at the sports desk.
Good evening and welcome to the winter finale of Duck TV Sports. I'm Rachel Friend.
And I'm Michael Streit. Winter term is coming to a close for Oregon students, and we're all starting to remember what the sun looks like. But you know what stayed blazing hot all winter? Oregon sports teams had a historic season. Rachel, let's dive right in.
If there's a better time to pay attention to Oregon sports, it's right now. On Saturday, Oregon became the first Pac-12 school and the second in history to claim conference titles in men's basketball, women's basketball, and football, marking a triple crown for the Ducks. The men's basketball team defeated Stanford 80-67, crowning them the regular season Pac-12 champions. In his final home game, senior Peyton Pritchard put up 29 points with an added 6 rebounds and 5 assists. He's been a dominant player for the Ducks since he joined the team as a freshman in 2016, and on Monday, Pritchard was voted Pac-12 Player of the Year. The Ducks will travel to Las Vegas for the Pac-12 tournament beginning Thursday and going into the weekend. Saturday's win against Stanford helped the Ducks claim the #1 seed and first-round bye for the upcoming tournament.
The Sabrina Ionescu Unfinished Business Tour is in full swing. After the Ducks wrapped up sole possession of the Pac-12 regular season championship, they flew to Las Vegas looking for revenge in the Pac-12 tournament. In the quarterfinal, Oregon was tested early by Utah, but blasted the Utes in the second quarter to get a 20-point victory. In the semifinal, Oregon had to contend with Arizona and the phenomenal Ari McDonald. McDonald led the Wildcats with 34 points, but the Ducks ended up with 88 total points on 15 made threes as a team, and Sabrina Ionescu went for 31 points of her own. Last season, the Ducks lost in the tournament final to Stanford, but revenge was sweet for Oregon as they beat the Cardinal for the third time this year. Oregon shot 55% behind classic performances by Ionescu and Ruthie Hebard. Mignon Moore was also the hot hand with a season-high 21 points. Oregon has now cut down 2 nets this season with plans for 2 more in the NCAA tournament. The Ducks will almost certainly be a #1 seed, which means they host the first 2 rounds in Matthew Knight Arena and then play in a most likely sold-out Moda Center in Portland if they advance to the Sweet 16. Do you ever just sit around and think about all the incredible moments Sabrina Ionescu has had in her Oregon career? Well, our own Brianna Chavez did more than just think about it. She's got a list of the top 10 moments. Take it away, Bri.
What's quackin', Duck fans? I'm Brianna Chavez. As a Duck, Ionescu time and time again caught the school's attention by breaking records and helping make the program what it is today. Starting off at number 10 is the first game winner versus Cal back in 2016. After the Ducks tied it up, Ionescu took over with only 4.4 seconds left, shoots for a 3, winning it for Oregon. Moving into number 9, the shot clock buzzer beater versus Portland State last year. After being up by 23 points in the third quarter, Carzola passes to Ionescu, and at 2 seconds left, Ionescu shoots and scores for Oregon. Earlier this season, Sabrina found herself in a Civil War matchup to remember. After beating the Beavers at home, they faced off once more in Corvallis, ending the game with a win, making it Ionescu's first career win in Corvallis. Ionescu's 4.4 play last year when they faced off against Baylor in the Final Four of the NCAA tournaments. In a matchup to remember, Sabrina had one of her most historic games, dropping a career high of 37 points against Stanford Cardinal. Is Oregon's first ever trip to the Final Four after this dagger 3-pointer over Mississippi State. The Ducks opened up this year playing an exhibition game against the U.S. national team. Here's Ionescu's shot from beyond the arc at the logo for a buzzer beater play clock. At number 3, Sabrina's record-breaking triple-doubles broke the NCAA record over Air Force with her 13 triple-double. Since then, she's doubled that number and has 26 to her name. Rounding it out at number 2, an uneventful play, but Sabrina still managed to make history when she became the first ever play with 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000th rebound. She said she unfinished business last year. Did she maybe finish it this year? Maybe the NCAA tournament will give us that #1 moment. Back to Rachel and Michael for more.
Thanks, Brianna. I know my eyes are going to be glued to the TV all March long. Oregon men's tennis had a great weekend at home. First, they cruised past New Mexico 4-1. Then they knocked off a ranked Old Dominion squad on Sunday, winning 5-2. Oregon women's tennis also filled the Student Tennis Center for some action this weekend. First, they were completely dismantled by Arizona State in a quick 4-0 sweep. But they rebounded nicely to pull off a clutch win over Arizona that came down to the final match as Rifa Kafianti got the Ducks a W and got a post-game shower from her teammates as well.
On Friday, Oregon softball's home opener was canceled due to inclement weather, but a little bad news didn't stop the Ducks from bringing their all the next 2 days, going undefeated against Loyola Marymount, Seattle, and Portland State. With 2 Mercy wins and 2 close calls, it was a wild weekend for the Ducks, but home field advantage may have played a part in helping the Ducks secure their victories. On Friday, the Ducks head down south to open Pac-12 play at California, hoping to carry their momentum. Spikeball has gained popularity on many college campuses around the country, especially at the University of Oregon. Reporter Savannah Held tells us more from the Pacific Northwest Sectional Spikeball Tournament.
Aiden Potts has been playing spikeball as a member of the University of Oregon Roundnet Club since his freshman year. Potts first started playing the game with his friends in high school.
It was just the fun that people looked like they were having when they were playing it. Like, it was one of those sports where, and I immediately saw this when I was playing with my friends in high school, is that even if you lose a point, sometimes it's just so fun that you don't care.
On Saturday, Potts and his partner were one of 15 teams from around the Pacific Northwest set to compete in the Pacific Northwest Sectional Spikeball Tournament. Oregon graduate Austin Rawlings was one of the people responsible for coordinating the tournament.
It's a really cool opportunity to grow the sport.
The tournament brought together teams from 7 schools, allowing players of all skill levels to compete for the same title. Mitchell Henry traveled from George Fox University for a chance at the title.
I just want to get better at spikeball. Like, to win a tournament is definitely the dream.
But winning is only half the reason players travel to compete. The other half is community. This sense of community keeps Potts and Rawlings interested in playing and organizing tournaments.
It's a great way for people to get outside, be active, meet new people. Everybody I've met in this community is awesome, and it's just a way to be connected.
You get to meet a whole bunch of people. The spikeball community is amazing.
As a sport on the rise, spikeball's numbers keep growing, and win or lose, competitors like Potts are always looking forward to their next chance to play.
Other people do it, and they know they're not going to win, but they still come out because they know they're going to have fun either way.
For Duck TV Sports, I'm Savannah Held.
Thanks, Savannah. The Spikeball Roundnet Association's next sanctioned tournament is May 9th in Seattle.
Oregon Acro and Tumbling celebrated International Women's Day on Sunday, winning a nail-biter against the Quinnipiac Bobcats. Oregon lost by half a point in the toss event, but ended up performing slightly better in the compulsory event and the team event. This gave Oregon just a 1-point victory over Quinnipiac. The Ducks get 18 days off before a spring break trip to Honolulu to face the Hawaii Pacific Sharks for the second time this year. Thanks for tuning in.
Be sure to follow Duck TV Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to stay up to date on all things Oregon athletics. From all of us at Duck TV, have a great night, Eugene.
Thanks, Rachel and Michael. Spring break is just around the corner, and for UVO students looking to avoid traveling, the UVO Outdoor Program has resources for them. Reporter Eric Wasserman shows us how UVO students can spend their spring break exploring Eugene.
It started in 1973. Trip leaders would post sign-up sheets on a bulletin board in the EMU, and students would sign up, pen and paper. Over the years, the UO Outdoor Program has expanded, today offering rentals at a reduced rate to students and community members, and offering planned common adventure trips for students. Anything from skiing to hiking, the Outdoor Program has you covered. Senior Joe Hart recalls a trip he took with the program.
I went on a backpacking trip my freshman year for 7 days in the Three Sisters Wilderness area. It was awesome.
Leona Phillips is the trip initiator advocate for the program. She emphasizes the importance of getting out and enjoying nature.
I love school. I'm here to go to school, but having that release and being able to go outside on the weekends is so important.
Other programs available to the Eugene community include Oregon Paddle Sports. They offer kayak and canoe rentals. And the Eugene Outdoor website gives information about local adventures, from hiking and biking to fishing and rafting. Programs like this are beneficial to the community because they allow students and community members the chance to get out and explore what nature has to offer.
I think it's important for people to get out in nature so that they can experience something new, push their comforts a little bit.
Back here on campus, the outdoor program is funded mostly through student tuition. And as Joe says,
the outdoor program is your gateway to the great outdoors.
Thanks, Eric. Fingers crossed for a sunny spring break to all those outdoor enthusiasts. Now let's look over at entertainment and see what's hot and going on with Joshua Berry.
Thanks, Georgina. It's week 10 and spring break is right around the corner. And you know what that means? It's time to stay home and binge watch TV shows to avoid going outside and getting sick. Here are a few recommendations from yours truly on what to watch. First off, we have the politically fueled superhero show, Watchmen. This show is a spiritual sequel to the 1980s comic book series of the same name. Starring Regina King and Jeremy Irons, this tale of superheroes, race, and society was one of the most talked about shows of 2019 and can be watched in its entirety on HBO. Sticking with HBO, we have the sci-fi western Westworld, which begins its third season this weekend. This mind-bending series stars Evan Rachel Wood, Jeffrey Wright, and Tessa Thompson as hosts of a theme park with human-like robots that take care of the guests. Expect tons of twists and turns, as once you think you've figured out the plot, it does a full 180 and turns into something else. And finally, my last recommendation is to go to Disneyland. No, not the real one. Too many people. I highly recommend the Imagineering story on Disney+. This documentary gives a behind-the-scenes look at all of your favorite Disney rides and attractions. It's a really inspiring show that'll show you with a bit of magic and millions of dollars, anything is possible. Well, that's all I have. Let's toss it back to Georgina at the news desk. Happy binging, Ducks.
Thanks, Joshua. Looks like I'm going to have to check out Disney Plus after all. That's it for our season finale. Thank you for tuning in this season.
Be sure to keep up with us during the break on Instagram and Twitter and Duck TV News. Have a great night, Eugene.